6:14 a.m. Your phone screen lights up before your alarm does. You didn't set it to do that. You just check now. Automatically. The banking app is already open from last night. The balance is higher than it's ever been. 6 figures. Then some. You stare at it. You don't smile. You don't feel anything. Somewhere behind your ribs, something goes quiet. You tell yourself it's tiredness. You tell yourself you'll feel it later, after coffee, after the shower, after the first meeting. Later never explains itself. You set the phone face down on the nightstand. The alarm hasn't even gone off yet, but you're already awake, already calculating, already somewhere 3 hours ahead of your own body. The ceiling above you is the same ceiling it's always been, except now you own the building. You wait for the version of yourself that should feel triumphant. He doesn't show up. Instead, there's a strange, hollow stillness, like the moment right after a loud noise stops, when your ears are still adjusting to the silence. Something is wrong. You just don't know what yet. 7:02 a.m. Kitchen light, too bright for how dark it still is outside. A coffee machine you bought because a video told you successful people drink better coffee. It hisses. You wait. You don't remember buying it. You remember wanting it. On the counter, a receipt from a dinner 3 nights ago. $340. You don't recognize half the dishes on it. You remember the conversation more than the food. Someone asked what you do now, and you pause before answering, like the question needed translating first. 2 missed calls on your phone, both from your brother. You'll call him back. Later. You always say later now. The coffee finishes. You pour into a mug that still has the store tag on the bottom. You never took it off. You drink it standing up, looking at your reflection in the dark window instead of outside. The person in the glass looks rested, successful, clean-shaven, structured. He does not look like someone who used to sit on the floor of a studio apartment eating $4 noodles and dreaming about exactly this moment. He looks like someone who forgot to invite that person along. You open your calendar. 6 meetings. 2 calls you're dreading. 1 dinner you already know you'll cancel. You used to check your calendar with excitement. Now you check it the way you check the weather before a flight you don't want to take. There's a name on the 3rd meeting you don't recognize, and you'll spend the drive over trying to remember why you agreed to it. Your assistant added it weeks ago. You said yes without reading it. You say yes to a lot of things now without reading them. On the fridge, held up by a magnet from a city you don't remember much of, there's a photo from 4 years ago. You, thinner, tireder, laughing at something out of frame. You pass it every morning. You stop really seeing it around the same time. You stop calling your brother back the same day. Small things. Nothing dramatic. Just quiet substitutions, like furniture swapped out of a house while you're not home to notice which piece went missing. Something shifted, and you can't find the date it happened. 11:40 a.m. Glass office. 17th floor. The city looks smaller from up here, which everyone tells you is the whole point. You're on a call with someone congratulating you on a deal. You say thank you 3 times. You mean it 0 times. Your assistant knocks, slides a folder onto your desk, and leaves without waiting for a reaction. She's learned not to expect one. Nobody in this building has seen you laugh in a way that reaches your eyes. Not really. Not since the promotion. You used to laugh loud enough that people in the next room asked what was funny. Now you laugh at the right volume, at the right moment, and move on. Nobody noticed the difference. That's the part that scares you. At 12:15, your old business partner texts. The one for before. Before the funding round. Before the office. Before the version of you that wears a watch worth more than your first car. Miss the old days, lol. You stare at the message for 11 seconds. You don't reply. You tell yourself you'll answer tonight. You won't. There's a pattern forming, and you're the only one who can see it because you're the only one standing close enough to notice what's missing. You used to check the time because you were excited for the day to start. Now you check the time because you're counting down to when you can stop being watched, even by yourself. At 3:30, someone from the old team stops by unannounced. Someone who knew you when the office was a folding table in a garage. They ask how it feels, all of it. You give the answer you've given a dozen times. Grateful, humbled, blessed to be surrounded by such a great team. The words come out smooth, rehearsed, a muscle memory that doesn't require you to actually be present. They leave satisfied. You sit back down, and for a second you can't remember if you meant a single word of it. That's new, that not remembering. It happens daily now, in meetings, in interviews, in bed when your partner asks how your day was. You answer. The words are correct. The feeling behind them left the building a while ago. 9:20 p.m. Empty parking garage under your building. Concrete pillars. One flickering light near the exit that maintenance keeps saying they'll fix. You sit in your car before turning the key. You do this most nights now. Just sit. Engine off. Silence. You finally ask yourself the question you've been avoiding since the coffee this morning. Why does having everything feel like losing something? And for the first time, an answer surfaces. Not the whole answer, just the edge of one. You realize you've been performing a version of success you designed years ago, back when you had nothing, back when you built an entire personality out of what you didn't have yet. The clothes, the car, the tone of voice in meetings, the way you shake hands now, firmer than before. None of it was ever really about the goal. It was about becoming someone your old life couldn't laugh at. That's the first mystery answered, but it opens a bigger one. Because if all of this was armor, who's underneath it? You don't know. You haven't checked in a long time. The flickering light buzzes once and goes out completely. You sit in the dark a little longer than necessary. You think about the version of you that used to sit in a different car, an older one, with a check engine light that never turned off because you couldn't afford to fix it. That version of you dreamed about this exact garage, this exact building, this exact silence, imagining it would feel like peace. It doesn't feel like peace. It feels like sitting alone in a room built for someone who never moved in. You think of your father, briefly, the way he used to sit in the driveway for 10 minutes before walking inside. Engine off, lights off, just breathing. You used to think that was strange. You understand it now. Then you go inside because sitting with that question for too long feels dangerous. 2 lives now. You started noticing the split. Outside. Keynote panels, LinkedIn post drafted by someone else, a photo of you smiling at an event you don't remember agreeing to attend. Inside. 1:50 a.m., staring at the bedroom ceiling, running numbers that have nothing to do with money. How many days since you called your mother? How many nights since you slept without checking your phone first? How many people you used to trust that you now just manage? You've become fluent in a language you never intended to learn. The language of introductions, of small talk with purpose, of listening for what someone wants instead of who they are. At a dinner last week, an old friend asked, half joking, "Do you even remember who you were before all this?" You laughed the practiced laugh. Inside, something flinched. You changed the subject before he noticed. He didn't notice. Nobody ever notices because outside, everything looks correct. The suits fit. The numbers grow. The interviews go well. Inside is where the real ledger is kept. And inside, you're running a deficit you haven't told anyone about. Not your therapist, who you cancel on twice this month. Not your partner, who has started leaving the light on for you, hoping you'll come home early enough to notice. Not even yourself most days. There's a folder on your laptop labeled Old Stuff that you haven't opened in 2 years. Early pitch decks, photos from the first office, a voice memo from the night you signed your first real contract. You and your old partner shouting into a phone at 1 a.m., half drunk on disbelief. You almost open it one night. Your cursor hovers over the folder. You close the laptop instead. Not tonight, you tell yourself. There's always a reason it's not tonight. 2 versions of you now share one body, and they've stopped speaking to each other. 3:47 a.m. You're awake for no reason you can name. The apartment is silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and your own breathing, which feels louder than it should. You open an old photo app you never use anymore. Scroll back. Years back. A photo of yourself at 22. Cheap apartment. Cracked phone screen. A grin that wasn't performed for anyone because back then, nobody was watching. You stare at that face for a long time, and it hits you slowly, like cold water finding a crack in a window. You never chased success. You chased becoming someone your younger self would finally respect. Someone who wouldn't get overlooked in a room. Someone whose name would matter. Someone who could finally answer the question that used to keep you up at night back then. Am I going to be somebody? You built an entire identity as an answer to a 22-year-old's fear. And now, looking at that photo, you understand the twisted, quiet horror of it. That kid wouldn't recognize you. Not your calendar. Not your car. Not the way you speak now. Careful, measured, calculated. He'd probably be proud of the bank balance. He would not recognize the eyes. Because the person in this photo believed success would make him feel more like himself. Instead, it built someone else entirely, layer by layer, decision by decision, until the original person underneath just stopped being consulted. You close the app. You sit in the dark. For the first time in years, you cry, and you don't fully understand why, except that some part of you has been grieving someone who is still, technically, alive. Just buried. You think about the version of success you imagined at 22, back on a mattress on the floor, back when the plan was scribbled on a napkin. In that version, you pictured yourself older, calmer, surrounded by people who loved you, laughing easily, sleeping well. Nowhere in that fantasy did you picture this. The 3:47 a.m. stillness. The distance from your own reflection. You built the outside of the dream perfectly. The house, the number, the title on the door. You just forgot to build the person who was supposed to live inside it. Somewhere in that gap, a stranger moved in and started answering to your name. A Tuesday. Nothing special about it, which is exactly why it matters. You cancel a meeting for no strategic reason, just because you don't want to go. Nobody dies. The world doesn't end. The company survives without you for 2 hours. You sit at a coffee shop you used to go to before any of this. Same chip table. Same barista, older now, who still remembers your old order, the cheap one, not the one you get now out of habit rather than preference. You order the cheap one, just to see. It tastes the same. Somehow that surprises you. You take your brother's call. Finally. He doesn't ask about the company. He asks if you're okay. Nobody's asked you that directly in over a year. You almost lie. You catch yourself. You say, I don't know yet, actually. It's the most honest sentence you've said out loud in months. He doesn't fix it. He just stays on the phone a little longer than the conversation requires. That's enough for today. One loop closes quietly. You understand now why the money never felt like the finish line. It was never a finish line. It was a mask that started as protection and slowly became the only face left underneath. But another question stays open, unanswered, sitting patiently at the edge of your mind. If you're not the person you built, then who exactly have you been protecting all this time? Walking back to the car, you pass a window display, jackets on mannequins, prices you no longer notice. A few years ago, you would have stopped, calculated, wanted. Today, you just walk past, and the not wanting feels stranger than wanting ever did. You don't tell anyone about the coffee or the phone call. It isn't a story yet. It's just a Tuesday. But Tuesdays like this are how a person quietly starts finding their way back. Months later, the company is still yours. The number in the app is still high, but you started leaving the office at 6 instead of 9. Nobody applauds this. Nobody notices except your partner, who exhales a little easier now when you walk through the door earlier than expected. You sit on the balcony some evenings doing nothing. No phone, No calendar. Just watching the traffic below thin out as the city changes shifts. Things that used to matter with a kind of desperate weight now feel distant, like scenery from a trip you took once, enjoyed, and don't need to take again. The watch, the car, the seat at certain tables. It's not that you don't appreciate them. You just stopped needing them to prove anything. You called your brother again last week. No reason, just to talk. You've started answering messages the same day. You've started laughing at things that are actually funny, not just appropriately timed. Everything feels quieter now, not smaller. Quieter, like a room after a long, loud party, when the guests leave and you can finally hear your own thoughts again. You still don't fully recognize the man in the mirror some mornings, but you stopped being afraid of him. That, it turns out, was the actual turning point. Not the money, not the title, just the moment you stopped running from your own reflection. You finally opened that old folder on your laptop, the one labeled Old Stuff. You listened to the voice memo all the way through. Your own voice, younger, cracking with excitement, shouting about a future stranger than either of you expected. You didn't feel embarrassed listening to it the way you thought you would. You felt something closer to tenderness, like meeting an old friend you'd lost touch with. 6:14 a.m. again. Same time as the beginning, though you didn't plan it that way. Your phone lights up before the alarm. You check the balance. Still 6 figures. Still more than you ever imagined at 22. This time, you don't stare at it looking for a feeling that isn't there. You already know what you feel. Quiet. Steady. Awake but not anxious. You think about that photo again, the cracked screen, the honest grin. Success was never the danger. The danger was building an entire self out of someone else's approval, someone you never asked to please, because the loudest voice in the room was always the 22-year-old you were trying to outrun. You thought this was normal. The exhaustion, the performance, the distance from your own face. You thought everyone who made it this far felt this hollow and simply didn't talk about it. It never was normal. It was just quiet enough that nobody warned you. You get up, make the coffee, look at the window, and this time you look through it instead of at your reflection in it. The city is still there, still yours, in the ways that used to matter. But you are slowly becoming someone you recognize again. Not the boy from the photo. Someone new. Someone who remembers him, though, and doesn't flinch when he does. You call your brother, just to talk, no reason needed anymore. You leave the office at a reasonable hour, and nobody has to ask you twice. The number in the banking app is still there, still real. It just isn't the whole story anymore. It's just a number. The real ledger was always somewhere else, in the quiet mornings, in the calls you almost didn't make. You thought this was normal. It never was. And now, finally, you're the one who noticed. If this story felt uncomfortably familiar, subscribe to Noir Capital, because some truths are easier to hear in the dark.